Hello and welcome to ShameOver, where you can lose the hangover, not the booze. I'm your host, Erica Mallery, and this is a podcast for those interested in moderation and drinking less, and who want to find peace and balance in their consumption. I am on this journey with you, and I am proof that you can drink less without going cold turkey or all out sober. If this sounds good to you, let's get started.
Hey, I'm Erica Mallery. Welcome back to ShameOver. Today we are really focusing on dry, or what I like to do, DryISH January, and what I love and what I hate about it, because Dry January is such a great opportunity to try new things, to see how your body feels without alcohol. That being said, if it is not done right, Dry January can be so brutal and really mess up the mind, really mess up the body, the willpower, the everything that you've really learned. It can only make your relationship with alcohol worse and more unhealthy. This is really going to focus on what to do, what not to do, so that if you are attempting to try Dry January or just want to cut back, how you can do so successfully without Dry January turning into Fuck It February. With that, again, for those of you who might be new to me, I personally cut my drinking back well over 90%. I used to be a daily drinker during COVID. Thanks so much for that, COVID. And definitely the weekend binger. Just so you know, binge drinking is not like you're drinking 100 drinks in a weekend. It is literally basically more than 3 drinks in one setting. So a lot of us binge more than we actually realize it. In my mind, like binge drinking was just like college days when you set out to get hammered. That is not necessarily the case. Just so you know, as you're going through this whole process, there's certain things that you can do to set yourself up for success. And what most people do only sets them up for failure. What we really want to focus on is some of the good stuff that you get from Dry January. You've probably heard tons and tons about. So you're going to notice things like better sleep, better mood, more energy, clear skin, maybe weight loss or at least less bloat, better focus, more clarity, more energy, which I believe I already said. So the brain function is going to improve. So imagine what my brain would have looked like when I was drinking heavily before. You're also going to notice a difference with your liver and the liver function and blood pressure. Like there is so much going on in your body when you're taking this break. So, of course, that's why it is so popular and so beneficial. And of course, we're like, yeah, we want this. Thank you for that. But the problem is most people do Dry January wrong. They are miserable. They spend the whole time white knuckling. And this only leads to rebound drinking, which essentially you're drinking more than when you first started Dry January, where your whole point was to kind of get that reset, right? Also, it makes the relationship with alcohol worse because the whole focus during this time is not being able to have any restriction, the all or nothing. So all of this can be really harmful. To avoid the detox to retox, these are some of the things you're really going to want to focus on. So number 1, mindset is everything. If you are going to set yourself up for 30 days, no drinking at all, 1, if you are a heavy drinker, this is probably not the best for you. Seek medical attention if you at all are, or medical guidance, I should say, if you are at all physically dependent on alcohol. A lot of people have the fear that they're going to go into seizures and those types of things. That absolutely can happen. It is very rare for that to happen. So I've seen a lot more people use that kind of as an excuse to not drink less. So just check yourself on that and be honest. But this conversation is a lot more, I'd say, for like gray area drinking, where you're drinking more than you like, but it's not problematic. It's not, I need to go to rehab type drinking. So as we're going through this, or as you're going through your off period, your dry period, your 30 days, your 100 days, whatever you're looking to do, know that mindset is everything. If your inner dialogue or even your external dialogue is saying, I can't drink, or I don't get to, or this sucks, your brain is going to believe that, and it is going to literally see alcohol as something that's been stolen from you. So your cravings are going to crank up, and everything is just, you're going to need it that much more. You're essentially turning your internal self into the toddler with no, and then it becomes explosions, right? So instead, focus on how you're talking to yourself, how you're talking about yourself, how you're talking about alcohol, how you're thinking about alcohol. So notice all the positives. I get to sleep. Awesome. I get to wake up clear-headed. I'm giving my body a break because I love it. All the benefits that you're getting, remind yourself that and say it in the positive, the growth mindset. I get to. This is a reward type thing. As soon as we see alcohol as the reward, not having it is a punishment. So everything is going to be negative when it comes to the restriction of it. Everything that you're doing in place of it, turn that into the reward. This shift matters so much more than people realize because of, again, that mindset. When you're taking alcohol away, if you see it as that negative, as that punishment, it's going to not only make you want it and need it that much more, but when you start drinking again, if you do, which I would guess 90+% of people do, when you start drinking again, you're going to be drinking more because this internal dialogue that happens so much is going to be, essentially, your body's going to harvest it because it doesn't know when it's going to get it again. So it, again, makes it that much harder to say no, to stop, take days off, all those things. So also do this as you're going through this process. Take it one day at a time. Do not stare at all of January like it's your time in prison and February 1st is your release date. Only one day at a time is what you need to focus on. And focus on getting a win every single day. Number 2, keep the ritual. You really, really, really want to focus on this ritual that you had. Most of us, especially those women, especially moms out there, your drinking is typically in the evening when the decision fatigue is real, when the emotional exhaustion and physical exhaustion has set in, and it is the first breath that you've taken for yourself all day. It is the that you've made for yourself, even if it is just that few minutes to pour the glass of wine. What I see so often is that women completely get rid of this and they just try to distract themselves, or, they'll sit in front of the TV and all they're thinking about is the wine that they can't have. Don't do that. Keep the ritual. If it is having that glass, get a beautiful booze-free something or other. I have a list that I can share with you for my favorite booze-free recommendations. They were absolutely paramount in my major reduction that I had because drinking is so much more psychological than we realize. So just having the glass in your hand, you can still have that beautiful wine glass that you love or your favorite cocktail, whatever. That is totally fine. Just put something non-alcoholic in it, preferably something without all the sugar and calories and all that junk. But if that helps, especially in the beginning, because in the beginning, you're going to have certain withdrawals, even if it's sugar withdrawals. So make sure that you are preparing for that. Part of what this ritual is that time that you make for yourself. So much of our drinking is actually us trying to fill our emotional cup, but we're filling our physical one. Making sure that you're really focusing on filling that emotional cup is going to be paramount. And, a lot of times they say distraction. I don't agree with the distraction thing in the sense that distraction is normally like taking it away so you don't think about it. I think about it as filling your emotional cup. So again, instead of distracting yourself, what can I do to actually feel good in this moment? What is it that I need? If that isn't a way for you to think about it, ask yourself, what am I lacking? Because what we're drinking for is normally to help us regulate in some way. So a lot of our drinking is us searching for nervous system regulation because we have been so stressed out all day long. We are so overstimulated with technology, with alerts going off 24/7 on our computer, on our phone, on our tablet. The kids are screaming. You have this to do. You have 20 different things on the to-do list that have to get done by an hour ago, right? So all of this is going on. Our nervous system is in overdrive, and most of us have never really come down from that, especially if we've been drinking a lot to help us regulate. We don't think of it that way. So your baseline is already much higher than it's supposed to be. You're living closer to that fight or flight mode without even knowing it. And that is why alcohol has become so paramount and essential, is you're close to that fight or flight. You don't need to. You don't have a mammoth trying to eat you, right? So you need that alcohol to help calm your system down. So a lot of what you need to be focusing on during this off period, or even as you're drinking less, harm reduction is honestly, to me, the best thing you could ever do, is really focus on nervous system regulation. I always have it here because it's one of my absolute favorite things in the world, but Heal Your Nervous System is one of the best books I've ever read. So definitely check that out if it's something that you're interested in learning more about. From the years I've been doing this, not only understanding myself, but through the hundreds, if not thousands of clients that I've been working with to help them with harm reduction and reduce their alcohol consumption, most of all, getting that better relationship with alcohol, is understanding our nervous system and helping to regulate that. Because if you are highly sensitive, if you're deeply feeling like I am, our brains don't just shut off. We don't just come down from the stress. We can't just do a couple breaths and all of a sudden we feel fine. We need something stronger a lot of times, at least we've taught ourselves that we do. So for us to feel normal again, for us to bring our baseline closer and closer to where it's supposed to be, we need to practice nervous system regulation. Alcohol has been our main tool for removing all of these feelings so we don't even have to deal with it. Excuse me. But we've basically been going through life without any coping skills because we haven't had to use them, right? So if you want Dry January to be easier, to be much more successful, then you need to replace the numbing that you've been doing with actual regulation. And some of these super simple ones that you are going to get is the breathing. Breathing is literally the number one thing you can do because as long as we have our breath, we're alive. So connecting with our breath is one of the easiest and quickest ways to not only regulate, but to become present. And a lot of times when we're drinking, it's to avoid being present. So practicing this is huge. There are so many different types of breaths that you can do. Definitely look into it. There's ones that help you gain energy. There's ones that help you calm down. I would say if nothing else, box breathing is one of my favorite go-tos just because it's simple and easy, but it's where you do the same number of counts for breathing in, holding, breathing out, holding. So a lot of times I do 4 counts. So hold, breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, hold for 4. 4, 7, 8 is also another really good one where you breathe in for 4, hold for 7, breathe out for 8. This really, really helps with the regulation when your out breath is longer than your in breath. Easy stuff that you can do anytime, anywhere, free. You can do it when you're sitting in traffic. You can do it in a boardroom, in a meeting. You can do it in bed if you're just not able to sleep. So great, easy things to focus on. Another thing, journaling. Journaling is so underrated. It has been around forever. If you've ever gone to a therapist or counselor, you've probably been recommended it. It is not an easy practice to get into. I can say I've tried it a million times and being consistent with it has not been something that I've been successful at yet, but the benefits are there, especially helping to regulate early on. You can do physical writing. If you have an iPhone, I know there's an auto app that they installed maybe a year or two ago. That's actually a really great feature I use with my group coaching. We use Marco Polo, and essentially I joke that it's kind of like my verbal journal because when you go in to check in before drinking, you're able to talk about what you're internalizing and make it external. So not only is it getting it off your chest, literally, but a lot of times you don't even feel the need to drink after because you've been able to release what you need to and start processing what's going on internally that you didn't even realize. Because a lot of times our drinking is so mindless and habitual, we don't even realize all this that's going on under the surface. Another thing, move your body. You can literally go for a walk. Getting outside is one of the best things you can do. It doesn't matter what the temperature is like, but just connecting with nature is paramount. But sometimes we don't have that. Sometimes we don't want to do that. I get that. Moving your body in any way. You can dance, like put on your favorite song and just do a little dance. If you have kids, get them involved. Do some sit-ups or push-ups or jumping jacks or squats or lunges or anything that really helps get your blood moving. But when you're doing this, you're connecting with your body and most of all with your breath. So that is why this is so helpful. When we're exercising, we're releasing endorphins, and endorphins naturally make us happy. So here you go. Another thing, connection is almost always what we're seeking when we're drinking. We either want to connect with ourselves and we just don't know how. We want to connect with someone else and we may or may not have the space to do so. Sometimes we feel like we need to drink to be able to connect. So how can you connect with someone or connect with yourself without having to use the alcohol to do it? Another thing, do something calming with your hands. I love paint by numbers. For being very type A personality, I thought I'd hate it, and it has become so incredibly therapeutic for me. So if you're kind of in the same boat, check it out. If you hate it, doesn't matter what it looks like. It's literally just the process of doing it. Puzzles are another excellent thing. Knitting, crocheting, anything along those lines. Coloring, like you can even do a kid's coloring book. I honestly prefer coloring with my kids than the adult coloring books. Like it is what it is. So these are all things, but when you're using your hands, especially doing something that isn't stressful, it automatically helps regulate and calm, which is what you're looking for. I always have my clients create their PS list. This I can say for those who have been successful super quick and early, they take this advice and run with it early on. If you want to transform your relationship with alcohol, if you want to rewire your brain, do this. Create your PS list. P is everything you can think of that brings you pleasure. S is everything that helps reduce stress. When we typically drink, we either want to feel good, we want to feel the happy, we want to feel the buzz, feel all that. That's pleasure. Or we need the quiet, we need to numb out, we want to not feel. Stress reducer, right? So we're drinking for one of these two reasons, sometimes both. This is the magic. If you do something on your PS list, you are automatically going to get what you actually need, what you're seeking in the alcohol, doing something healthy that doesn't involve alcohol. And as you do this, you're rewiring your brain. You literally are training your brain. Oh, I don't need alcohol. This can do it instead. The one thing I will say, coloring, breathing, journaling, writing, none of this is going to give you that same euphoric feeling that you get from alcohol. So stop thinking that, well, if I just do this, I'm going to feel the same way. No, it's not a drug, right? All of these things they can make you feel better, not only short, but long term, everything's going to get so much better, but it is not a drug that you're consuming. So you're not going to get that initial crazy spike that you get with everything else. I know I shouldn't need to remind us that, but I know oftentimes we do because we're just like, well, I'm not getting the same thing. Yes. And that is why we have to practice and keep doing this. But again, to rewire your brain, this is what you do. Your brain literally learns, I can feel better without alcohol. Think of it as the first time that you're walking through a cornfield or whatever. I've never lived in the farm. So as you're walking through, there is tall grass everywhere, right? You're having to move your way through it. The next time, same thing. As you get it, you're starting to create a path. After you've done this 100 or 1,000 times, the path is there. You don't even have to move anything. It is there. It is just so much easier. That is literally what's going on in our brain with habit development. That is how it becomes a habit. You've done it so many times, you now no longer need to think about it. You have drank for X, Y, and Z so many times that now whenever you have those same feelings, thoughts, similar experience comes up, subconsciously your body and brain is like, alcohol is what I need right now. That is why you have these cravings, these feelings, these urges that are so strong. Change this whole thing going on, you have to be able to change that neural pathway, which is through practice and consistency and showing up in a different way. It will get easier, I promise. Just think of that walking through the field example as you're doing this. Like, I am creating that new pathway for myself. That is going to help. And that is also where the real change really starts. Another thing, speaking of practice, you have to practice being social without alcohol. You have to practice being in stressful situations, being in really overstimulating situations. Having young kids, I'm overstimulated all the time. Like a kid's birthday party now is like my version of hell because it's just so much going on, so many loud noises, all the things. So not drinking, it overstimulates me more. I go into it with that in mind, knowing that I'm not using any alcohol to help coming down because I didn't realize how overstimulated I used to get because I would always drink in those situations. So I never really had to notice it. So just being prepared for this is key, but you have to practice being in these situations. What I see all the time and why I truly think so many people fail when it comes to dry January, and by that I just mean it typically does more harm than good, is they isolate. They literally shut off their phone or their social calendar, or they're doing nothing but staying at home, trying to avoid all triggers, all feelings, all social everything. And then come February, they're like, all right, let's go. And they expect to be in those situations that they were always in with alcohol and have no problem not drinking or drinking less during them. The only way you're going to be able to do that is by being in those situations and practicing not drinking, practicing moderation, practicing having one or two drinks and stopping. So as you're going through this, you need to practice, and just telling yourself, I'm practicing, can help so much. So still schedule that happy hour, still go on date night, go to the parties, do whatever, but be in your body and see what it's like being fully present. It might be uncomfortable at first. I'm not going to lie. Like I said, I had no idea how overstimulated I could get because I always drink in these situations. So for me, it was very much like, I had no clue what highly sensitive was until learning this new part of me. But that's because alcohol was present in so many situations, even if it wasn't drinking to get drunk, but just having a glass or two of wine, that still dampens the noise. So I was so unaware of all of this in me. So as you're doing this, you are building a new skill set, you're strengthening muscles, or really understanding muscles that you didn't even know you had. And this is all what mindful drinking is about. Again, it can feel very awkward at first. I totally understand, but it does get easier, and it gets easier quickly. And it is so wildly empowering when you realize that you don't need alcohol to be in those situations like you thought you did. And this is truly how I was able to drink dramatically less without ever having to quit or go full out sober. So another thing on that note is having a why that actually means something. Something vague, like I need to drink less because of my health. Like that's not a why. That's just what you think you should do because of the doctor or CDC or society telling you X, Y, and Z. You know, really dig into what this is for you, why this matters, why this is coming up, why now? What do you want to feel instead? What would success actually look like? That is one of the most important ones, because people often set goals, but they don't say what success would look like. They're being super successful, but they don't feel it because they never stated what their success will look like. Also understand, what is drinking actually doing for you, and what is it costing you? These are tough questions that sometimes we have to get really radically honest about. Sit with them, think about them, write them down. If you need to, burn the paper after you write it down. Getting it out is going to feel so much lighter. And then literally light it on fire. No one has to see these answers. It can go into the oblivion, but make sure you're processing it, because if you don't, it's staying inside of you. So when you come up with your why, or you set your goal and you understand what's behind it, and it has to be authentically for you. It can't be for your spouse. It can't be for, the doctor who's telling you this. It has to be authentically for you. Otherwise, you're not going to last. It's not going to stick. Everyone else can benefit, absolutely. But number one has to be the most important thing. So write it down and look at it every single day. The reason why this is so important is this is your reminder of choosing you. Motivation fades. Willpower is a very finite resource that we think we have way more of than we do. But meaning is what sticks. So making sure that you're looking at every day, preferably in the morning, is going to be so incredibly powerful, because again, our brains want to be right. So when we're looking at it every morning, our brain is going to find ways throughout the day to prove that right, to make that a correct, real statement. So look at it every day, and just that one act alone might shock you how much more successful you are with your goal setting. This one on my list is get support. Doing this alone I wouldn't even say it's overrated. It's just dumb and unnecessary, and the success rate is very little when you do big, hard things like this by yourself. So we're not meant to do hard things alone. We're not meant to go through this life alone. And let's be honest, it is so much more fun when we're doing this with someone else, when we're growing with someone, when we're feeling empowered and changing and evolving together in community. So that can be an accountability. It could be a supportive friend, a coach, a community, anything that makes you feel inspired and empowered, and no shame. That is the number one thing here, is lose any of the shame that you feel coming up, because that is why people get so stuck in their drinking, and it only perpetuates it, is they are so set in, I failed, I did this wrong, I can't believe I couldn't make it 30 days, I can't believe I couldn't make it a week, whatever that looks like. And that shame just sucks you under and meets you there with a drink in hand, right? So find support in a way that is empowering, that lifts you up, that makes you feel that you can do this, because you can. But you're going to be so much more successful if you do it with someone else that is lifting you up and helping you in those tough moments. Because again, our motivation is going to fade. Our willpower is going to be there's so much less than we expect it to be. So that is why we need support and community throughout this process. So lastly, most people, I'm guessing you're like most people don't have a drinking problem. Drinking is the solution. So if you can understand what solution drinking is for you, that is where everything begins. And Dry January can absolutely be the powerful reset that you're looking for, but only if you do it right and you understand what's underneath the habit and heal what's actually going on underneath. So don't just stop drinking, learn why you drink, keep the rituals, regulate your nervous system, practice, be in all the real life situations and practice mindful drinking, strengthen these muscles, and ditch the all or nothing mentality that keeps so many of us stuck. So if you want help doing this, I am doing DryISH January, which is basically the whole month of January. We're focused on harm reduction. If you want to try going completely dry the entire time, you absolutely can. If you want to build in dry days, you absolutely can. Make this work for you. But the whole point is for you to understand so that you can end January feeling better and having a better relationship with alcohol, not just pushing it to the side or locking it away for the month. So when it comes back, it's that much more stronger and more aggressive than ever. So if you would like to join, check out the link for DryISH January. But regardless, just make sure as you're going through this process, you're doing what is best for you. And you're losing any of the shame that comes up, because there's going to be a lot that comes up during this time. You are used to pushing away or pushing down all these thoughts and emotions, and they're still going to be there, but now you're not having the lubricant of alcohol to be able to not deal with them. So a lot is going to be coming up during this time. Again, that's why having some sort of support or community is so much more important now than ever. So with that, you've got this. Be true to yourself and know that you can do it. All right. Cheers. We'll see you guys soon.
Okay, real quick before you go, if you are thinking about doing Dry January or something along those lines, I need you to hear this. Most people don't fail because they lack willpower. They fail because they do it the hard way. White knuckling, zero support, zero plan. But no, not here, not this year. That's why I created DryISH January, so you can drink less without the all or nothing pressure and actually feel good doing it. Head to shameover.me for the link and come do this differently with me this year. ShameOver is the mindful drinking program designed for women who desire to drink less without losing the booze completely. If you want to transform your relationship with alcohol and live a healthier, confident, and balanced life, go to shameover.me and get started today. You deserve it, you're worth it, your future self thanks you. Cheers!